Hello and welcome to our channel. Today I wanted to do a little bit of an introduction about who we are. We're the Dinks with Debt. If you're not familiar with the term Dinks, it stands for double income, no kids. And so this channel is going to be about my husband and my journey getting debt free. My name is Andrea. I'm 45 years old. My husband's name is Anthony, and we really appreciate you following us along on our debt-free journey. So why are we starting this channel? I do want to say that I've been inspired for a long time, at least the past year, if not longer, by some of the, budget gurus that you might find on social media. One has been the Budget Mom. She has a process or a method that she calls budget by paycheck. Dave Ramsey is another one that you may have heard about, his 7 baby steps to getting out of debt. There's another creator that I found over the past year, and I've been following her along. Her name is Budget with Mrs. P, and she's a teacher and has made videos that are very explanatory and very educational, as you might imagine from a teacher. But it's very easy to follow the process that she's created. And so some of the things I do plan to implement that she has done on her channel. Another one is Alexonabudget, has been very inspirational to me as well. She's been working this year to pay off her car note, her student loans, and started saving for a down payment on a house. So these folks are really the ones that have, prompted me and my husband to document our journey and share this with people. Maybe you out there will get inspired to start your own debt-free journey as well. So essentially my husband and I have come to a point in our, in our marriage and our relationship that we have really become tired of doing stupid with zeros. And if you haven't heard that phrase, I heard it from Dave Ramsey, but essentially what it means is making bad decisions, but they are bad financial decisions that have a lot of zeros after them. So one example that I can share is of a person that may be looking for a sofa or a couch to outfit their apartment. And they have a budget of $750, and they go to a furniture store, and the second they get into that store, they get amnesia and are, allured by the special they have going on, where you can get a full set of, sofa and love seat and armchair, for the low price of $3,000. And, the salesman tells you, if you get the whole set, then we'll throw in, the end tables and some lamps, and we'll even deliver it for you. So all of a sudden you have, forgotten about your original goal of getting a sofa for $750, and now all of a sudden you're on the hook for $3,000. So that's an example of doing stupid with zeros. So we, like I said, have just been kind of meandering through life and not really having a plan, and we end up making decisions that we haven't really thought about in the long run. So another thing that we wanted to accomplish through this channel, besides becoming debt-free, was that we wanted to show people that you can do this too. You can get debt-free at any age, no matter how much debt you may have. So like I said, we're in our 40s, and we, know we have some working years ahead of us, and we do have quite a bit of debt. I think out of all the channels and things that I've seen, our debt will be pretty high compared to others. And so we're committed. We know that this isn't going to be an overnight thing, but I want to shoot for, a goal of maybe 3 years for us to get out of debt. So it's going to be a long haul, but you can do it, and we know we can do it too. We're going to show in our channel, hopefully, the process of getting organized and developing our financial plan. So like I said, it's going to be kind of a combination of little pieces of all of the budget people that I've been following. But just getting organized is half the battle. That's the thing that has been holding me up, because we really haven't had a plan, and honestly didn't know how much we owed and to whom. So this, getting our budget together has been very eye-opening for us, and hopefully it will be for you too. Just rip off the Band-Aid and you can do it along with us. So in our discussions, my husband and I have agreed to work on some financial goals, or these are the things that we're working towards as we get out of debt. I want to make sure that we have an operating account of at least having 1 month ahead of our expenses. And so this is going to be different from like a savings account or, short or long-term savings accounts. Because of the way that we get paid, I get paid once a month, he gets paid weekly. We have bills that come out throughout the month. And so sometimes, we may send money to savings and it feels great that we have sent this chunk of money to savings. And then all of a sudden we have 3 bills that are coming out, back to back to back. And then we're shuffling money back from our savings account to our checking account to cover those bills. And so to me, I just feel like I want us to have an operating account where we have all of our expenses covered. And on the first of the month or by the third or something like that, we can pay everything for that month. And as those new checks are coming in for that current month, we're setting those aside to use to pay for all the expenses for the following month. So for right now, I'm shooting this video in December of 2024, and we'll be starting with our January 2025 budget. And so my goal would be to have a reserve of money to pay all of January's bills. And then as our paychecks hit throughout January, we set those aside, and come February 1st, we have all the money to pay those February bills. And then again, as the paychecks come in during the month of February, we set those aside to pay for March and so on. My husband and I do also want to replace our vehicles at some point in the future. Both of our vehicles are mechanically sound. Thankfully, my husband is very handy and mechanically inclined, so he takes care of the maintenance on our vehicles, and we don't have any issues there at this point. My vehicle is about 12 years old, so we know that at some point it needs to be replaced. My husband's truck is newer, and so we don't think that we'll have to worry about replacing his vehicle anytime soon. But we know that this is going to happen at some point down the line, and we want to be prepared for that. The main thing, like I said, that brings us here today is we want to get out of debt. And when I say we want to get out of debt, at this point, we're talking about our consumer debt. When we get into the types of debt that we have and different things, you'll see we have a varied types of debts. And what we're talking about is going to be to like credit cards and things like that. So that consumer debt is what we wanted to get out of. But that kind of helps to move our next goal along. We want to move more money into our retirement accounts so that can grow while we're still working. Both of us have already established retirement accounts and have been contributing for, the past 20 some odd years that we've been working. So we have already adjusted to having that, those contributions taken out of our paychecks every month. So we don't feel like, stopping those contributions is a wise thing to do at this point, since we wouldn't be hurting if we continued contributing to those retirement accounts at this point. But the goal, like I said, is to get out of the consumer debt so that we can send more money to these retirement accounts every year. The one thing that makes all of this worthwhile is like all of these other things are great, but this is the one that really does pull at my heartstrings, because we know at some point in the future that we will both be taking care of our parents a little bit more as they age. Both sets of our parents are around the same age and have, retired from their careers and have just had little, health things pop up. And as they continue to age, we know that we'll be, responsible for helping them more get to, doctor's appointments or, just different things. So we want to make sure that when the time comes, we are in a good position financially to be able to either contribute to their care or bring our parents to live with us. So that's ultimately what we are trying to prepare for in the future. So the steps to create a debt-free plan, this is kind of what I've put together based on all the debt-free people that I've been watching and learning from. You're going to want to write down a list of your fixed and variable expenses and the due dates. And The fixed expenses are things like your rent or your mortgage, maybe your internet bill, your car insurance. Those are bills that come every month, and they're usually the same amount. Your variable expenses may be things like your grocery bill, maybe the gas that you put in your car to get to work. It could be, something else that, changes a little bit, like your electricity bill, for example. Maybe it's higher in the summer and less in the winter, but you need to know what those expenses are, how much they are, and when they are due every month. So you'll write down that list. The next thing you're going to do is find out all the debts that you owe. And this can be challenging for some of us that have debts that are past due or maybe even in collections. So one thing that I can recommend is that you can get your credit report for free once a year. So you can go to myfreecreditreport.com and request that from one of the 3 credit reporting bureaus. But you'll write down a list of all your debts, how much you owe, what the interest rates are for that debt. So if it's a credit card, for example, you'll have an interest rate for that, and the due dates. There's a couple of other things that you may want to write down. And so we'll get into that a little later when we actually go through our budget, but you're going to want to write down a list of all the debts. We're fortunate in the sense that we don't have any debts that are past due or in collections. So everything that we have is current, but we have a ton of debt. So you'll see that, when we get through our budget planning. So once you have these pieces of information, you're going to fill those in on a monthly calendar. And so this is important because it allows you to see when your paychecks will hit. And so you'll write that in on the monthly calendar as well. But you'll be able to see when all of these bills and all of these, debts and things come out in relation to those paychecks that hit your account. Essentially, you're working up a monthly budget, and then you're going to have a weekly budget as well. And so for those of you that have, get paid once a month, your monthly budget is going to be, pretty cut and dry. But in either case, whether you have a monthly or a weekly budget, you need to make sure that you have enough money over the month to pay for all the expenses. Otherwise, you end up in the red, right? You end up negative or reaching for that credit card to fill in the gaps that that you need to pay for. And so essentially we want to make sure that the monthly budget makes number sense, just mathematically, first and foremost. And then as you go, you're creating that weekly budget to check yourself, basically to see that you're staying within those limits that you've set yourself for those variable expenses. So one thing that I learned out of this process, watching Mrs. P, Budget with Mrs. P, is that you do need to make adjustments as you go. And so sometimes, like around the holidays, for example, you may be cooking more. So your grocery budget may need to increase around, Thanksgiving or Christmas. Maybe you have a lot of birthdays that happen in, March. And so maybe that's something that you need to plan for in that budget. But as you go, you're going to need to adjust. And the end goal is to get to 0 at the end of the month. Like I said, if you're getting a negative number on that monthly estimate that you do, the monthly workup, then you need to make some adjustments so that you can get to 0, theoretically. And then as you go every week, you're checking that progress and checking your commitment to those estimates that you set out in the beginning. So we're going to work on this as we fill in, find all of our information here. That'll be the next video, kind of getting ourselves organized and then working up that monthly estimate just to see if the numbers match up. And then in January, we'll take you on our weekly budgets just to check our progress. So I hope this is something that you will find interesting, and maybe you'll consider joining us on our debt-free journey. I encourage you to please subscribe so you can follow us along. And if you learned something over this video, please give this video a like. I would really appreciate that. And if you know somebody that may be in the same boat as we are, maybe they, feel kind of like they are drowning in debt, or they, have been complacent and lazy about their finances and really just want to take control over it. If you know somebody that could benefit from this, please feel free to share that with them. And then I've heard so many things about the debt-free community being such a positive place. I would really appreciate it if you comment below and leave us a positive message or just a word of encouragement. This has taken a lot of courage, and I'm really nervous about putting all of our business out on the internet like this. But I feel like, like I said, we have so much, I think, to learn from this process, and everybody that has been so generous with their knowledge and time, making videos and things to share about their journeys. I feel like there's something that we can do to give back to people as we take a handle of our finances as well. So this is our channel, Dinks with Debt, and maybe at some point in the future we won't have this debt, and maybe it'll just be Dinks with money or Dinks with fully funded retirement accounts or something. But for now, I really appreciate you watching, and I hope that you consider subscribing and following our journey as we go along. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.